Vivo is generally not a brand you'd find competing with Redmi or Realme. Vivo is usually happy focusing on offline sales. But with the Vivo U10, they have a surprisingly solid under 10K offering. But is it solid enough to take on the likes of the Redmi Note 8? Well, that's what we aim to find out in today's video. But before we do, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4 Retech, and if you do end up liking what you see here, please don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get this comparison started. At a glance, both these phones, they look kinda similar. The camera placement to the back, the rear fingerprint scanner, a purple to blue gradient finish, heck, even their dimensions are pretty similar. Yes, the Vivo is a little thicker, but since they weigh almost the same, around 190 grams, you don't tend to notice the extra thickness in hand. What you do notice is the stark difference in materials used. We have plastic to the back of the Vivo U10, while the centrally radiating gradient pattern does look good. The overall build quality as well as the fit and finish is much better on the Redmi Note 8. The Corning Gorilla Glass 5 wrapped back feels premium in hand, and the gradient pattern is way more pronounced. The Note 8 also comes with a P2I coating and rubber grommets for the SIM tray, so we have some level of splash protection on this phone. Overall, the more premium build and weather resistance combine to make this a first round win for the Redmi. Time now to turn the phones around. We've got very similar looking LCD panels on both, a water drop notch up top. Vivo though has a slightly larger screen at 6.35 inches compared to 6.3 on the Note 8. The bezels, especially the lower chin, is a hair smaller on the Note 8. The biggest advantage that Redmi has is resolution. It's Full HD Plus versus HD Plus, and that makes a big difference, especially when it comes to the crispiness of text on screen and even while streaming high quality content. Now both phones, they do have wideband L1 on both, so streaming HD content via the likes of Netflix or Amazon Prime, now that's not a problem. Moving on to the actual quality of the panels themselves, the Note 8 has better colors and sharper detail. So this round, I'm gonna have to give it to the Redmi again. Oh, and in case you were wondering about the speaker output, they're very similar in terms of volume, but the Note 8 has richer output. It's more pleasing to the ear. Taking a look at what's underneath the hood, we have the same Snapdragon 665 powering both these devices. MIUI 10 as well as FunTouchOS 9.1 are highly optimized, and when combined with this decently powerful chip, day-to-day performance on both left me with nothing to complain about. The UI felt smooth and responsive, and I had no problems with multitasking on either. Speaking of, we have 3 or 4 gigs of RAM coupled with 32 or 64 gigs of onboard storage with the Vivo U10. As for the Note 8, we get 4 or 6 gigs of RAM coupled with 64 or 128 gigs of storage. Both phones come with dedicated support for micro SD cards for added memory expansion. Now taking a look at gaming performance, we have the Adreno 610 GPU coupled with individual gaming modes on both again. Well, the performance didn't seem to vary noticeably. Ultra game mode on Vivo does seem to be more feature rich, and it also features multi-turbo AI functionality. Now, most of the time all these AI features, they are buzzwords used by companies, so take this one as you will. As for me, the performance round, I'm gonna call it a tie. Now speaking of AI, let's dive right into the software. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got FunTouchOS 9.1 on the Vivo U10, while the Redmi Note 8 runs on MIUI 10. Both are built on top of Android 9 Pie. Now MIUI 10, we're all familiar with it, so I'm not gonna really delve much into it. The Redmi Note 8 does have some interesting software additions though. First, we have the clear speaker option, which is honestly pretty ingenious. It sends a shrill sound at full volume through the speaker vent for 30 seconds to clear out all the debris and dust that might have accumulated in the speaker grill over time. Next up, we also have a system-wide dark mode option, so that's pretty cool. On the FunTouchOS side of things, we have the user interface itself. It's kind of somewhat new to anyone who hasn't used a Vivo phone in the past. It's a little bit of a mishmash of Android and iOS. There's a control center that you can pull up from the bottom. The notification pane doesn't have a settings cog, so basically there's a bit of a learning curve associated with FunTouchOS. Once you get accustomed to it though, there are a ton of features to play around with, including some smart AI functionality that is powered by Jovi, Vivo's in-house AI assistant. Now generally this is a round I give to whatever is running against MIUI given the ads on MIUI, but here FunTouchOS, it's got that steep learning curve, so I'm gonna leave this one up to you guys, MIUI or FunTouchOS. Here's a poll, let me know what you'd pick. Okay, moving quickly on to battery life, we've got a 4000 mAh battery on the Note 8. Now, battery life has always been a strong point for the Redmi Note series, but the Note 8, it also performs really well. Here though, inside the U10, we've got a 25% higher capacity battery, 5000 mAh. Now the U10 also has a lower resolution screen, so these two together makes the U10 the clear winner. Now when it comes to charging, both these phones support 18-watt fast charging, and both brands do include a fast charger in the box itself. But the U10, it's still stuck with the older micro USB port, while Redmi has moved ahead with Type-C for all their Redmi 8 series phones. Now despite that, the higher capacity battery on the U10 means Vivo does win this round. Now let's quickly take a look at the sundries before we wrap this one up with the cameras. So both phones do come with a fingerprint scanner as well as face unlock. The biometrics are fast and accurate, no complaints here. We have the headphone jack again on both devices as well as support for FM radio. The Note 8 here edges ahead thanks to the IR blaster up top. We also have a notification LED on the Note 8. Yes, it's a tiny little notification LED hidden on the left bezel of the phone. So once again, this round ends in a win for the Note 8. Finally, we have a chance to talk about the cameras. On the Note 8, we have the same sensor as we found on the Note 7s, the 48 megapixel Samsung GM1. The Vivo U10 though comes with a 13 megapixel sensor from OmniVision. Side by side, you can clearly see the difference in dynamic range as the Note 8 manages to draw out a lot more detail from the shadows of the leaves here. Now the Note 8 is shooting 12 megapixels by default, so the megapixel count is technically lower than what you'd get with the U10, but the images taken by the Note 8, they have more detail, as you can clearly see when you zoom into this pipe in this scenario. Here the bokeh or the background blurring that the Note 8 achieves, that's also better. The depth of field is more shallow in comparison, and that's thanks in large to the wider f1.8 aperture lens used by Redmi, whereas Vivo has gone with the f2.2 lens on the U10. The U10 though does sport more natural colors, with the Note 8 opting for a more saturated and brighter look. Personally, I like the extra saturation, but then again, that's a personal preference. The situation worsens for Vivo when we move on to lower light conditions. The U10 doesn't come with a dedicated night mode, and these images from the Note 8 taken with the night mode on simply blows it away. The pictures are better in every conceivable way, brighter, more detailed, while the ones from the U10 in some cases are downright unusable. Maybe the wide-angle cameras would be more evenly matched, considering they're both 8 megapixel snappers, but not really. The Note 8 still edges ahead, brighter overall pictures with crisper details. Now the extra camera on the Note 8 is a 2 megapixel macro sensor, and it can take shots like this. There is no macro functionality with the Vivo U10. Moving on to the rear camera portraits, both phones do reasonably well here. We have better detail with the Note 8, but often it is at the cost of over sharpening. Both phones do let us adjust background bokeh to our liking, and they do quite well when it comes to edge reduction. Turning it around for selfies, we've got a 13 megapixel selfie snapper on the Note 8. It takes some good looking shots. Now compared to the 8 megapixel selfie shoot on the Vivo U10, the shots are better. The Note 8 does take more detailed pictures, but it also tends to overexpose the background a bit too much. There's also some over sharpening going on in some pictures. Switching over to selfie portraits, surprisingly for a brand that markets its selfie capabilities a lot, we don't have a selfie portrait option on the U10. The Note 8 on the other hand does well here. So when it comes to videos, we've got 4K 30 FPS on the Note 8, the U10 is limited to 1080p 30. Now both footages at these resolutions are quite shaky. Now when we dial it down to 1080p 30, the Note 8, it does get stabilized footage. The detail does take a hit, but it is more stabilized. It has electronic stabilization at 1080 30, something the U10 doesn't. Both phones can use their wide-angle cameras to capture footage. The detail levels are just okay. The Note 8 also lets us record video with a macro camera. Not sure if this would be really useful, but hey, it is a feature, it's present. If you want to make use of it, you can. Overall, this round ends in a decisive victory for the Redmi Note 8. It's got much better cameras on board. So let's now come down to the pricing. The U10 is the cheaper phone. It starts at 8,990 for the 332 variant. That's 1,000 rupees cheaper than the Redmi Note 8, which starts at 9,999. However, the base variant for the Redmi Note 8 is 464. So if you are comparing 464 variants, then the U10 ends up costing 1,000 rupees more because the 464 U10 is priced at 10,990. So should you save the 1,000 rupees and go for the Vivo U10? So here, it's not that there's something wrong with the Vivo U10. The Vivo U10 seems to be a decent enough device. It's just that the Redmi Note 8 does better in a lot of aspects. Here, for 9,000 rupees on a tight budget, this is a phone that you could go with. It's gonna fare well in most aspects, except for the camera. So as long as cameras are not of the highest priority, then the Vivo U10 would get you the best battery life here. It is gonna be pretty decent, and if you're on a tight budget, you could probably consider it. But then again, for 1,000 rupees more, the Redmi Note 8 is overall the better phone. It's gonna give you more storage, it's gonna give you more RAM, it's gonna give you a better display, and it's most importantly gonna give you the best optics for the price, and of course a better build too. So yeah, which of these two are you gonna pick if you are gonna have to choose between these two? What's your choice? What do you think about Vivo's U10? Do you feel Vivo's actually getting more and more competitive these days? Me personally, as much as the U10 hasn't been a better device over the Redmi Note 8, it's kind of refreshing to see Vivo be so competitive in this segment. We've not seen this kind of a offering from Vivo in the past, and it's nice to see that happen. The more brands that compete with Redmi, it's better for us and consumers, so it's nice to see that happen. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and with that we get to the end of this comparison video. Whatever you feel, thumbs up, thumbs down based on that. Subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't yet by hitting that bell icon. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash, you've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.